You have looked into a mirror today, maybe more than once. You checked your teeth, you checked your hair. You did not think twice about the face staring back, but somewhere, a very long time ago, a human looked into still water for the first time and did not know what they were looking at. They did not see themselves, they saw a stranger. And that moment, quiet and unrecorded, may be one of the strangest thresholds your species ever crossed. Think about that for a second. Before mirrors, before polished metal, before glass, the only reflection available to early humans was water. A pond after rain, a puddle at dawn, a still river bend where the current forgot to move. Picture an early human crouched at the edge of a lake, reaching for a drink. The water settles, a face rises up to meet them, eyes, a mouth, movement that matches their own, but delayed, wavering, unfamiliar. What would you do? Some anthropologists believe the first reaction was not recognition. It was alarm. A face appearing from nowhere, mimicking your motion, was not obviously you. It could just as easily have been read as another creature, a spirit, a rival hiding beneath the surface. This is not just guesswork. It connects to something psychologists have studied directly in the modern day. In 1970, psychologist Gordon Gallup Jr. ran an experiment that changed how scientists think about self-awareness. He placed a mirror in front of chimpanzees. At first, the chimps reacted as if the mirror chimp were another animal entirely. They postured, they threatened, they looked behind the glass, searching for the intruder. But after days of exposure, something shifted. Gallup marked the chimps with an odorless red dye on their brow, somewhere they could only see in the mirror. When the animals looked again, they touched their own foreheads, not the mirror, their own skin. That single gesture told Gallup something enormous. The animal understood that the reflection was not another creature, it was them. This became known as the mirror self-recognition test, and only a small number of species pass it. Great apes, elephants, dolphins, magpies, and of course humans, but only after a certain point. Here's the twist. Human infants do not pass this test right away either. Developmental psychologist Beulah Amsterdam ran a version of this experiment on human toddlers in the 1970s. She dabbed a spot of rouge on a child's nose, then set them in front of a mirror. Children younger than about 18 months usually reach toward the mirror itself, treating the reflection like a playmate. It was only somewhere between 18 and 24 months that most children reached for their own nose instead. Self-recognition, it turns out, is not something you are born with. It is something your brain has to build. So if a modern toddler needs almost 2 years to understand a mirror, imagine what it took for an entire species, with no glass, no clear metal, only rippling water, to arrive at the same understanding. It likely did not happen once. It likely happened slowly, across countless individuals, countless startled glances at rivers and lakes, generation folding into generation, until the confusion faded into familiarity. And then, once humans understood what a reflection was, they wanted to control it. Archaeological evidence shows that some of the very first manufactured mirrors appeared at Çatalhöyük, a Neolithic settlement in what is now Turkey, dating back roughly 8,000 years. Excavations led by archaeologist Ian Hodder uncovered polished obsidian discs, volcanic glass ground down and buffed until it held a dim, reflective sheen. These were not practical tools for daily grooming the way we think of mirrors today. Many of them were found buried with the dead, placed near faces and graves. Some researchers believe this points to something deeper than vanity. A reflection may have symbolized the soul, a second self, a way of holding on to identity even after the body was gone. Why would a mirror end up in a grave? Maybe because once humans understood the reflection was them, they could not unsee it. The line between self and image blurred permanently. If your reflection is you, then trapping it, keeping it close, even in death, starts to feel less strange and more urgent. This idea echoes forward into nearly every human culture that followed. Ancient Egyptians polished bronze and copper into mirrors, believing they carried protective and even magical properties. Ancient Chinese bronze mirrors, some dating back over 4,000 years, were engraved with symbols meant to ward off evil, as if the reflection itself needed guarding. In ancient Greece, the myth of Narcissus, the young man who fell so deeply for his own reflection that he could not look away, was not just a warning about vanity. It was a cultural memory of something humans had always half feared, that the self, once seen clearly, could become dangerous to look at too long. Your brain still carries traces of that ancient confusion, even now. Neuroscientists studying mirror neurons, cells first identified by researcher Giacomo Risolati and his team in the 1990s, found that certain neurons fire both when you perform an action and when you watch someone else perform it. Some researchers argue this overlap between self and other is part of why mirrors can feel oddly hypnotic even today. Your brain is still, in some small way, working out where you end and the reflection begins. Have you ever caught your reflection in a dark window at night and felt a flicker of unease just for a half second before your brain caught up? That flicker is old, older than mirrors, older than Çatalhöyük. It may be a faint echo of the very first human who knelt at the edge of still water and did not know, not yet, that the stranger looking back was never a stranger at all. Every time you glance into a mirror today, brushing your teeth, checking your reflection before you leave the house, adjusting your collar in a shop window, you are performing an act that once took your species thousands of years, countless startled reactions, and an entire slow rewiring of the brain to fully understand. You do it now without a single thought, but the first time was never simple. The first time, a human looked into water and saw a face they did not recognize. It was theirs all along.